Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention?
Great Scott! There's no crying in baseball!
You better hold on tight, Spider Monkey.
This is where the fun begins.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. That's right, we're ranking Fury. Fury is a 2014 American war film that follows a battle-hardened tank crew led by Sergeant Don War Daddy Collar as they face overwhelming odds and moral challenges during a deadly mission behind enemy lines in Nazi Germany. This was a movie that I was excited to get to and watch. I feel like it did not exactly meet my expectations, and I can't quite say why, but let's get into it by talking about the 10 essential aspects of a movie. First is plot. Does the movie follow a comprehensive story arc and is plausible within the world that has been created? I really enjoyed the perspective of a tank crew. I thought that was unique. I thought that was a movie that had not been done yet, a story that hadn't been told yet. From my understanding, I have not seen a World War II movie about a tank crew other than this one. I thought that was interesting and a different aspect of the war that warranted a movie being made and a story being told. I also enjoyed that this story was told at the end of the war. The war was coming to the end. It is April 1945. It is not going to be long until Hitler is killed and the war is over. I thought that was an interesting timeline that I felt like I hadn't seen before. I'm sure there's plenty of movies on it, but I could not remember a movie about World War II that I watched that was really about the end of the war. Most of the times it's the middle or maybe some of the beginning. I just thought that was interesting. It's a good story. It's an interesting story that warranted a movie being made. Second is attraction. Does the movie have an interesting premise with a high entertainment value? If you like action, if you like war, if you like World War II, if you enjoy maybe some brutal aspects of war, some realistic portrayals of death, then yeah, you're going to like this movie. Personally, I think if you're just a dude, you're probably going to like the movie. I don't know why. I don't know what draws us guys to enjoying these movies, but I enjoy World War II. I enjoy movies about war. I think they're interesting. I like action movies. I like movies that have intense plots. If you're into that stuff, you'll like it. If not, then obviously not. Third is theme. What message or truth is the movie trying to convey? Now, the message of this movie, I would say, is the message of a lot of World War II movies, and that is just the moral decisions that need to be made and the implications of those decisions and how they affect you as a human being when it comes to war, when you must kill other human beings that you don't know, and how that affects you, how you might lose parts of yourself, how you might discover new parts of yourself. I think it's a very popular theme in war movies, especially World War II, but there's been a million movies made about that theme because it's an interesting one. It's a complicated one. It is one that makes you wonder how you would feel in that moment. I would say one thing I really enjoy about this movie is that they have a character in there that is essentially you. It is somebody who has no idea how it feels to be in war, and now they're just suddenly in war, and I would say you share views throughout the movie, and as they grow and their views change, so will yours too. I thought that was an interesting aspect of the movie and a good way to approach the theme of something like war. Fourth is dialogue. Is there a real feel to the conversation? This is an aspect of the movie that I found hard to judge, and I would love to hear your opinion on it. There was moments that I felt like the relationships and the way they talked to one another felt forced. It didn't feel natural. There were scenes that it felt more natural, and then there were scenes that it just quite didn't feel right. And I don't want to say it just didn't feel real because it's kind of hard to judge because I haven't been in war, obviously, and I haven't gone through the horrific things they've gone through, and obviously those things change people, and it would change relationships and how you may talk to one another. But I just feel like I noticed it. There were parts that it just didn't feel smooth, and I don't know what it is, but maybe it's just there wasn't enough other aspects of the movie to compensate for the dialogue, and maybe I was just too focused on it. I don't know, but I would say great movies and good movies, there's just a difference between how smooth and how easily you are convinced that these characters have known each other for long periods of time, or they have been through incredible things with one another. I had trouble with that sometimes with the dialogue in this movie. Not to say it was bad, but sometimes there's a thin line between good and great, and I felt like it bounced in between the two rather than just being solely great and really convincing. Fifth is acting. Are the characters convincing? Now, surprisingly, you have a big star in Brad Pitt as the main character. I found him not to be anything special, anything great. In fact, a lot like Matt Damon in The Martian, where he felt replaceable. It felt like a lot of actors could have stepped into his shoes and done the same or better job. I don't know if that's more about the character and the way it was wrote, or the scenes that the character had. I just felt like he just didn't do a great job. I mean, he did a good job. He's a good actor and he knows what he's doing. I just don't know. He didn't do anything memorable. The two people I felt like really just honed in their characters was Shia LaBeouf as Bible, one of my favorite characters in the whole movie. I thought he did a fantastic job. I just thought he really took this character to heart. He felt like he was it felt like it was just Shia LaBeouf in some ways. It felt like he really blended whoever that character was supposed to be with who he really is. And I just thought it was done really well. I thought this was a good role for him to play. Now, John Bernthal as Grady Travis, he does a really good job as well. I mean, he plays a guy that you frankly don't like. He's not that intelligent, but you hate him, but then in the moments you learn to love him because you're glad he's on your side. You would hate for him to be on the other side. And so you deal with the things that he has. I thought he did a really good job with the role, putting some heart into the character, and he was convincing as this guy that was just, this is what he was born to do, but he's just not a very nice guy. Sixth is cinematography. Is there a creative use of lighting, setting, and wardrobe? I would say lighting, setting, and wardrobe. The action sequences are brutal. They're gory. There's scenes. I mean, it's not like crazy. It's not like Quentin Tarantino blood going everywhere. It's just small moments of gore that make you realize how crazy war really is. I thought it was done with a purpose, and I thought it was done well. I thought it helped put your mind where they wanted you to be. I enjoyed it. The action was intense. It felt intense while you were watching it. However, the explosions in this movie I didn't like. I thought a lot of times whatever explosions were occurring, they kind of just looked like fireworks and were very unconvincing as explosions. I thought that was a weird aspect of this movie. It seemed like a movie that had a pretty good budget that could have done good fireworks, but these were like Michael Bay explosions. I just didn't enjoy those. Emotion-wise, this movie's weird because I wasn't that emotional, especially I would say the ending of this movie is where you're supposed to really build up and get emotional, but there's several aspects that you are supposed to be maybe disgusted or just, and it was successful in some of those moments where it was successful in showing you how war can be, how it really is, how it's just, it sucks. It sucks. A lot of people die that don't need to die. It sucks to see people die. But at this point, war's been going on for years, and the soldiers that have survived all this time, they're pretty desensitized. So in a way, not being emotional towards the end of the movie almost feels like it was done on purpose, that you yourself, like the character you were following, were desensitized as the movie went on because you just saw so much stuff happen. You almost just expect it. And I don't know whether that was the purpose or not. If it is, great job. That you did a great job, because I was desensitized by the end. I mean, I was just not, I didn't care that much, and it just seemed like an inevitability. Like all this stuff was going to happen, and so you just weren't as emotional about it. If that was the purpose you were going for, then he nailed it on the head and did a really good job. I don't know if that's what was going for. I feel like it was kind of a misstep. I feel movies are more impactful when you feel that emotion. If he hit that mission, then I guess it's a better movie than I would say. However, I just didn't feel that much emotion, so I can't give it credit in succeeding and not giving me emotion, when I feel movies are much more memorable and impactful when you do feel that emotion. This would be an interesting perspective if that's what he was going for, though. 7th is editing. This is all about the pace of the movie. The movie is 2 hours and 14 minutes long. I thought it was a good pace. I thought 2 hours was a good amount of time to tell a story that they needed to tell. I would say maybe the end is a little dragged on. It didn't quite need to be as long. There is like a lunch scene that they have that I enjoyed, but it didn't necessarily have to be as long as it was. But honestly, 2 hours and 14 minutes wasn't that bad. 8th is soundtrack. I thought the soundtrack of this movie was good. It's nothing memorable, but it fit the scenes well. 9th is directing. Now, I feel the director is in charge of the previous 8 aspects. They're the ones that have to give it their stamp of approval, put it all together, and make a really good movie. Now, the director of this movie is David Ayer, and this would be his 5th film. The 5 movies that he had directed to this point was Harsh Times, Street Kings, End of Watch, Sabotage, and finally Fury. I have not seen any of his previous movies. That makes me think that I'm kind of understanding why this movie was so hard for me to place between good and great. This is a movie that I just don't know if this director has necessarily got everything to be a great director, but he's got a lot of things that can make him good. I just have to watch the other movies to see if they are somewhat similar. 10th is time. Will it stand the test of time? Unfortunately, it's not a movie that I feel has enough to warrant it standing the test of time. I think it'll always be somewhat of a good movie, but there's so many movies about World War II, and there's a lot of great movies that this one just doesn't feel special enough to stand out and really stand the test of time. Now for the review section. Rotten Tomatoes critics gives it a 76. The audience gives it an 84. And IMDb gives it a 76. It's interesting to me that they are as low as they are. For some reason, I had this idea that this movie was much better, or seen as better by critics and audience more than it is. 76, I do feel, is low. There are really good aspects to this movie. A lot of the problems I have with it, or confusing parts, they're picky. They're the difference between good and great movies, not their bad aspects of the movie. So I would say 76s are just too low. 84, I would say that's pretty much on the dot. This is a mid-B kind of movie. This is an 80s kind of movie. It's good. It's got a lot of good aspects. It's a good story. It's worth watching, but it's just missing something to make it, pull it into that 90s and make it a great movie. Now for the rankings. For the year of 2014, I only have 2 movies, and on the entertainment side, it's going to be second, below A Million Ways to Die in the West. Not that hard of a ranking. A Million Ways to Die in the West is much more entertaining. It is a comedy. It is meant to be more entertaining than Fury. They're both really long movies, so I can't even really give it the edge for being longer or shorter. So honestly, a very easy ranking. Cinematically, Fury is going to be first above A Million Ways to Die in the West. Again, not very hard. Fury was made to be cinematic, not so much entertainment, where A Million Ways to Die in the West is more entertaining than cinematic. Now, for the decade of the 2010s, I have 4 total movies, and in the entertainment side, it is going to be third, just below The Martian and above Paranormal Activity, The Ghost Dimension. It is below The Martian. The Martian is one of those movies that rides the line between entertainment and cinematography. I would say it leans more heavily to the entertainment side. It is easier to watch. It does have a more fun aspect to it. Fury is a serious movie. You have to be kind of prepped to watch that movie. It has very serious tones. It's just not as easy to just put the DVD in and watch as something like The Martian. I have it above Paranormal Activity because I would never watch that movie, and I wouldn't choose to watch that movie on my own. It's just not that good. Fury, I would. Now, cinematically, out of 4 total movies, it's going to be first above The Martian. Again, The Martian does have cinematic aspects, but it really leans to the entertainment side. The Fury is all cinematography. I mean, it has some entertaining aspects, but really it was made for film as an art to express a period of time and some character development and emotions. It just does it way better than something like The Martian. Now, all time, out of 38 total movies on the entertainment side, it's going to be 22nd, just below Civil War and above Heretic. Civil War is just a movie that I find more unique. Fury is it's unique in the tank perspective of World War II, but there's a lot of World War II movies, and there's several that I would say I would watch before Fury. Civil War it's unique. There's not many movies that are about modern Civil War, and that's more intriguing to me. I would just prefer to watch that movie, even though they're both serious. That idea is more intriguing to me. Now, I have it above Heretic because Heretic suffers from the fact that rewatches are harder. The only reason I would choose to rewatch that movie again is because I enjoyed the concept, the conversation about religion. I liked that. I would watch it again for that conversation, but the entertainment value in the surprise and the suspense isn't quite there because I already know what's going to happen. Where Fury, even though I know what's going to happen, it's still very interesting and it's still going to hit me in some way. Now, cinematically, out of 38 total movies, I have it 11th, just below The Mist and above Heretic. Lately, The Mist has really been my gatekeeper for the top 10. It's a movie I struggle with because the parts I love about it, I really love, but it does have some restrictions. But these movies are honestly really similar. They both have main characters that weren't the standouts. The side characters, the ones that had less of a role, were better. They were more interesting. The acting was better, which I don't think is done that often. They both have interesting ideas. However, I felt cinematography as an art form, The Mist just takes some more chances that I liked. It took some more, like the ending of The Mist is not something I think everybody would agree with, but it is an ending you will remember, and I've always remembered that movie for that ending. I also just enjoy the idea. I just think that represents film a little better because I like that they took a chance and did something different, even though there's aspects that bring it down. Those aspects make it really great. Fury, it's missing something to be great. It's good. It does a lot of things well, but it doesn't have something that is really going to make me remember Fury and be like, you have got to watch this movie. And that's why The Mist is above Fury. Now, it's above Heretic, honestly, kind of for the same reasons as Entertainment, ironically. It's because Heretic, again, it's held down by the fact that the rewatches are not going to be as good as the first watch. However, I really enjoyed the conversation being done, but Fury, it just does a better job. The characters, there's more characters, they're more interesting. I think the actual situation is more interesting. I think overall it will pull more emotion out of you. It just does a better job at making you feel a certain way than Heretic. Heretic does it well. I just think Fury does it a little better. That's all I've got for Fury. This was my first time watching the movie. I don't know if maybe I'll change my mind the more I watch it, but there was something about it that just kept it from being great, and I really wanted it to be, and I just really couldn't quite figure that out. I think it was a lot of small things that really came together and just kind of had a roadblock for me. I don't know. But make sure you comment your opinion. If you've gotten this far, thank you so much for watching this much of my videos. If you've ever seen any of my other videos, I really appreciate it. I would really love to hear your opinion on any of the movies I reviewed. That's why I made this channel, is to interact with people who also love to watch movies. So make sure that even if you're not somebody that normally comments, just tell me something. Tell me what you rank it. Tell me out of 10, out of 100, where would you put it? I just do something, I just really enjoy striking up some sort of conversation with you guys. If you guys are interested in watching somebody who does a similar review format as I do, check out my best friend Bosso Movie Reviews. He does this same thing where he ranks them against the year release, decade, and all time, but he has a very different perspective on movies. I would say he takes them not quite as serious as I do, and if that's something that's appealing to you, I would definitely go check him out. But make sure to comment how you felt about the movie, but if you don't want to do that, comment a movie you want me to review next. My list is only getting shorter, not as many people are commenting, so there's a chance that I'll get to it faster. If you want it to be done faster purposefully, I do have a PayPal description in a PayPal link in the description that you can donate any amount of money, and I will put it above anybody who hasn't donated or anybody who's donated less than you and expedite that review. Make sure to subscribe so that you can see me do that review. Of course, you don't have to donate anything. I will get to your movie eventually. The list is only getting shorter. But that's all I've got for Fury. I'm Mr. Majoritarian. Stay classy, San Diego.